Future State, Justice League issue 1, Joshua Williamson writing the main story, Ram V on the other one, and we have Robson Roca and Marcio Takara as the art on each story as well. So this, this was again another one that was curious to get into, but Williamson's obviously a writer that we have some sense of, awareness of, his style, how he writes. But I think this issue, this is the main story, I think did a pretty good job of really kind of establishing the team. It helps that obviously some of these characters we have an idea of. Some of them are completely
brand new.
The Flash character seems pretty new. Obviously, Andy as the new Aquaman. We don't really know her character, but we at least know where she comes from, so there's some context for who she is.
And it's just me being a continuity nerd, trying to figure out when this takes place.
Yes.
To John's age, to her age, like,
because John should be about what, 17 years older than her?
Yeah.
16, 17 years old. Yeah, whatever age he is when he came back from the future. Yeah.
So, but if you don't get hung up on that, the story still reads great because you kind of get the individual vibes. Like here, the way that this Justice League comes together, because Williamson's hinting at like this. Someone brought the Justice League down from the inside, and so it changed the way that they operate to where they come together for these big threats, but they're very impersonal with each other.
Well, to a point, part of what this issue does is that it kind of sets that up and then reveals how half of them break that rule almost immediately. Because it sets up that, yes, the Justice League essentially were taken down because the ranks got too big, there was too many members, and someone who learned all the secrets took them down from the inside. The page that it shows that, like this one panel, we know it's not Batman, Green Arrow, Superman, Martian Manhunter, or Wonder Woman because they're all facing whoever it is.
Opposite side.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a mysterious foot in the foreground.
And the fact that I know that Williamson and Bendis work together for a while, like Bendis as a character shows up in Nailbiter, right? It makes me wonder if this is part of something that Bendis is going to play with.
I suspect it probably is. It feels like it's hinting at something. This is such a specific thing to put in here without it leading to something that's going to happen in the main book going forward. So
it feels like we're going to be abandoning the Hall of Justice in the not too distant future then.
Right. And so this gives it, so like, whereas Gotham has this like police state, like Blade Runner-esque, this Earth just almost seems like a dystopia, right? Where it almost feels like Gotham and the rest of the country got swapped. Where Gotham's like, yeah, it's a police state, but it's still bright and colorful, where everything else here seems like dingy and just kind of left to rot.
I'm pretty sure.
I think it's interesting.
I'm pretty sure this is the same Earth as the Gotham we're reading in the Future State books, Matt.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is, whereas we think of Gotham now as kind of like this shithole, right? Where it doesn't seem like it's that anymore. Like Gotham seems, for as dark and gritty as it seems almost cleaned up because of the police state, and it's bright and it's hidden under the neon lights. Whereas here with the Hall of Justice, which was that paragon of hope
it's decrepit building,
right?
It's just a mess.
So what's the rest of the country look like? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it gives this dystopian vibe to Future State that I hadn't gotten until this.
Right,
yet,
and just to glance at this timeline that I got, this Justice League book is set roughly 15 years after most of the Gotham stuff.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's what I'm seeing on this anyway.
Yeah,
Well,
that's right. Either way, I still think it works, but I do like Williamson. For me, the strength of this is the character work that he does. Like, because I read this last, I kind of saved this, and I wanted that Yara Flor vibe, and I got it from Williamson here. Like, it's not the same as it was in her own book.
It's not as strong, but it is,
The voice is there.
It feels like the same character. John feels like the same character, and just the fact that he's kind of in his dad's shadow, and he kind of wants things like how it used to be. And then you have Jo, who this is the first time we're seeing her interact with any other DC characters that aren't,
Which
also, she's the detective of the team.
She's the almost the de facto leader. Like, they kind of all look to her for guidance.
Which does we should talk about the fact that kind of sets up the idea that Far Sector is set in the future, because up until then we've had no context for when that is. It's just been kind of, she's off in this other part of the galaxy doing this.
It's amorphous. Like, we kind of get the vibe that she's not the typical Green Lantern because of how her ring works and kind of what brought her there. But outside of that, her origin could have taken place at any time, right? It could have been present day. It could have been a little bit in the future. we don't really know. But here now, it almost seems like it's there, and the fact that we know that Thorne intends to bring Joe in later.
Yeah, it begs questions for the setting of that book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, unless there's time travel, which is also possible because it is comics after all. Yeah. Right? So yeah, inhabiting the old Hall of Justice, we've got the future Legion of Doom, which is Despera, Amaze-X, Cobalt Blue, the Street Shovel, which is a Talon, the Flood, which is mentioned. I mean, obviously it's an Aqua villain, but like it's mentioned later that this is Andy's arch nemesis. Ultraviolet Lantern's there as well. So
and Ivo
and Morrow, the other ones. And that's the thing. So it sets up that they're going to make their big push to kill the Justice League, but then the main story is that the Justice League find them all dead. Whatever third party they were bringing in to help kill the Justice League killed them instead, and that's the crime scene. That's what Joe's investigating. That's what they're all kind of on edge about.
The line that killed me, and it shows just how dark that Williamson can be, and I appreciate for him, is they go, I'm pretty sure we're standing in the flood. Just because it's the water covering all the... And I was just like, oh, man.
It's a neat touch. So one of the things that really sets up, though, is that they're not all supposed to know who each other are in terms of their real identities. But over the course of the book, we find out that that's not true for everyone. Like, Superman and Wonder Woman know who each other are. Aqua Woman, I guess, and Flash know who each other are because they hang out. And Flash
knows who Batman is.
And Flash points out, like, you break that rule for me because they're trying to like convince Andy, like, hey, maybe we should like get to know each other a bit more. Maybe that'd be a better world. And John at the same time is kind of like, hey, maybe we should expand. I mean, I know we're not supposed to, but it feels like we're not big enough to deal with certain threats. So
because John's like the only one who really remembers the old ways. Because while he wasn't part of that league, he was around. He knew them. Yeah. And Joe maybe has some like
familiarity,
whereas a lot of them feel a lot newer than that. Like maybe they just weren't there at all.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning, adding back into the mystery of who the Batman is, which we know who it is. I mean, admittedly, it's been 15 years, admittedly. Maybe it's different in the Justice League book, but...
It's whoever the new Batman's Robin is.
But
that's what Batman is now.
It's very possible. But it is notable that this book, it does not like have like because I mentioned how it goes to like a personal conversation for several other characters. There's none of that with the Batman, and it would never go with him to his own personal space where we see how he's dealing with things.
Guaranteed, it's coming after they reveal it. Probably inside the next Batman book.
Very possibly. But the big ending is that characters who appear to be other members of the Justice League show up and knock out, not kill, but like take care of all the various members. And it's like, wait, you're seeing a Superman there? I'm seeing a Superman here. What's going on? And they're all taken out. And it turns out that the villains who were being sort of brought in by the Legion of Doom to help, who killed them, are the Hyper Clan, a gang of white Martians.
Masquerading as heroes from flippin' Morrison's Justice League way back in the 90s.
This is a deep pull.
Hell of a turn. Because as I'm reading, I'm like, who is this? Like, who could is Williamson setting something up that we're all gonna know? Is it like gonna be a shock, like it's Damian or whatever? Because he's at this point, I knew he's doing Robin, right? Like,
sure,
right. So I'm like, what's he doing? And then when I turn the page and it's the Hyper Clan, which is a story I haven't read going up like 20 years at this point now. It's been a while. It made me stupidly excited. Just like. And I get it. It's the shallow, hey, I know what that reference is. But just the idea that this team was created to basically be an anti-Justice League by Morrison, just to be revealed to be white Martians. And here, that's what they're now,
Yeah, I'd have had a problem with it if it didn't make it clear what it was. But immediately it's, and we're the Hyper Clan, and it's like, they go, white Martians, they hit all these boxes that, because like I say, this is a story from 30 odd years ago, give or take.
Let's not go that far. It's from 97.
All right, 25.
Okay.
24.
It makes you feel better, Connor.
I'm rounding for dramatic effect.
You round down, it's 20.
Why is it dramatic effect? Why is 25 more dramatic than 24?
Because it's a nice round number. And 25 sounds worse than 24. It's like 100 sounds worse than 99.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound worse to you because you try to like stretch it to make it sound like your first estimate was right.
I was just trying to make it
Matt
sound
was right.
A long time ago.
It was closer to 20 than 30. Matt was closer to being right. Right? I have settled this dispute.
the point here is my point. That is irrelevant. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What I was getting at is that was a long time ago. There are lots and lots and lots of people who will read this who have never read that story. So it was really important, I think, to put this in a digestible way that if you've got no idea, never read that, never heard of it, doesn't matter. It works, and that succeeds.
Right. So in this world where heroes are kind of not trusted amongst themselves, anyways, now you're introducing this concept of the Hyper Clan and the White Martians and how deceitful they are. Yeah, and how they're going to be able to basically take over the identities of the Justice League.
Yeah, the final panel is them all forming into the Justice League and flying off to be the heroes of the world. Is this one that's getting 4 issues or just 2? Is this just a 2-parter or 4-parter?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Is this back on week 4 this month, or is it just an issue 2 next month? Because there's a couple that are 4 issues. Most of them are only 2, though.
I will have a quick look.
Go ahead, because whatever they're going to do, I'm here for this. I really enjoyed the story.
Yeah, it was good. It's interesting that this is not a Bendis story, because obviously a lot of these two-parters or whatever are all from the teams that are taking over. Right. It's interesting that this maybe has a hint of what Bendis is going to do with this traitor that maybe he's asked Williamson to put in, but
not necessarily. And then, it's only 2 issues, by the way.
Oh, 2.
Oh, man. And then Roka's art, I feel, is pretty good, because Roka's been this artist that, I don't want to say the house style, because there's more flair to it, but it's very, kind of what you would think of a Justice League artist.
Right, tell me the second time you said his name, because the first time you said it, I thought you said Rucka's art. I'm like, wait, Matt. One of us is very confused.
Yes, I got the Barbara Ann statue, and I had to bring up issue 8, but no, not here.
Okay.
But yeah, no, Robson Roca. So, and it's very just it fits Justice League, like the characters, because they're not iconic. I think new.
Roca's a very dependable artist.
Yeah,
it's not like a particularly flashy style. It's not like it doesn't wow me, but it's really solid and dependable for any kind of mainline DC book. And, Justice League, your Superman obviously was on Aquaman for a while. Any of those sort of characters.
Yeah. So no, Justice League was pretty solid. I think it did a good job of. I don't think the storytelling is like completely perfect or as exciting as some of the other better ones, but I do think it was a very solid introduction to the dynamics of the team, how they feel about each other, who some of these maybe lesser known characters. Seeing adult Andy was really cool, because Andy's this new character, this baby, and seeing her living at the lighthouse and like getting a call from Aquaman and Mira was a neat little thing.
They're doing something with Jackson as well, so it's like that's why he hasn't assumed the mantle. Like they gave it to Andy because for whatever reason.
Yeah, they're off in Atlantis or doing whatever.
Yeah, and it just feels like legacy storytelling, which like Wonder Woman felt like that last week, but a lot of them just felt like this is just future state. Whereas this felt like this could have easily just been a future story in Justice League, and everything just clicks.
Yeah. So no, I enjoyed it. What are you rating the main Justice League story?
I'm giving this one an 8 as well as the. So yeah.
Connor.
Just a 7 from me. I think it's pretty good.
I'll agree with the 8. I had fun. So, Justice League Dark back up then, which was interesting jumping into for me because I've been enjoying Ram V stuff on Catwoman. I have not been reading Justice League Dark. I have no idea if any of this is any kind of follow up to anything that's been going on in Dark, or if it's just a completely fresh thing because it's the future.
I don't know if because of a certain character that was involved. But I was getting big Demon Knights vibes, Connor. I don't know if you.
No, I agree. I think we're talking about Merlin here. I think.
Well, not just Merlin, but the character that goes with Merlin.
Right, but Merlin specifically showed up in. I don't know if it was the last issue or the one before last of Justice League Dark, and was kind of teased as going to be having a role going forward. But we didn't get to any of that, so that's the biggest connection to what has been going on, and I think it's more. This is maybe teasing some of the storylines that Ramby's going to be doing in the near future.
Right.
Yeah, so the basic gist of this is that Merlin's got like an army, like hunting down magic users and burning them at the stake, and I guess wants to be the only magical person.
Almost like he's purging magic that he can't control.
Yeah.
Like all magic flows through Merlin, and so that of course puts our heroes at odds and ends, and This one almost feels like it takes place closest to now out of the Future State books thus far. Because this almost feels like it could have been the next arc.
This one takes place 2030, so a little bit after the Gotham books, but before the main story in this by about a decade.
So, but yeah, so we get Zatanna and Detective Chimp going and trying to unravel this mystery and find a way kind of to fight Merlin back, and they end up at Rory Reagan, and I was like, how do I know that name?
It's Ragman.
And then, yep.
I'm surprised Matt didn't clock that immediately.
I only know his name because of Arrow. Yes,
yeah, because when you type in Rory Reagan, that's the first thing that comes up is Arrow, which annoying. But, I was like, oh, and then
all I could think was, oh yeah, where did he go? He just left. He just wandered off out of the show randomly at some point and never came back.
They go to the shop where he kind of deals in black market sales of magic stuff.
Overlook the inciting factor of this is they've burnt Zoriel, the angel.
The angel, yeah, that's pretty big, and so
yeah, I will admit that was probably the most alienating thing for me at the start of this, is I had no idea who they were talking about.
Oh, well, it's from Morrison's Justice League as well,
right? And it was also does it matter? Because all the context is there. It's like, hey, they go, hey, it's Zoriel. They burn an angel. How did they manage to burn an angel?
Right.
That's all you really need to know.
Well, and then they introduce another thing, which I just absolutely love, is that they've bonded Etrigan with Detective Chimp, and they've changed the rhyme.
Gone the Simian.
Yes, so gone Simian, yeah. And it's so runs Etrigan, which I will say, I'd like to pick, if I could pick anything of Ram V's mind for this, why does he have Etrigan rhyme sometimes and not other times? Because certain writers will have it just come out like it's just a formality for Etrigan, right? But here he does it sometimes, and other times he doesn't.
No, there is a pattern to it. Anytime he says more than one sentence, it rhymes. If it's just one line, it doesn't.
Okay.
So it's like if he's speaking in pairs or longer, there are rhymes.
Because sometimes the writer will make it rhyme across the board. Whatever that ends the first sentence, and that bubble, it'll rhyme with the rest of them. So that's why. But there's been other writers that just go, all right. It might have been even Taylor in Deceased when they brought in Etrigan with Constantine, where he's like, all right, enough with the rhyming crap. You don't need to do that with me. But anyways, pairing him with Detective Chimp, I just thought was fantastic.
I hope this is something that happens.
Yes. Because I can't think of two characters that would hate each other more than Etrigan and Detective Chimp.
I don't know. Etrigan and Jason Blood.
Yeah, but it's a little bit different because Jason Blood is a magic dude, right? That's part of the thing.
Yeah.
Detective Chimp is just almost science gone wrong, and that's what led to him. And then he's thrown into this magical world, which I think that's why Detective Chimp sticks out so much in Shadow Pact and whatnot. Mm. But yeah, that's another thing. This felt almost like a Shadow Pact book too. It was hitting the greatest hits of DC Magic books that I've enjoyed. But yeah, so they end up, of course, coming across Constantine, who looks like he's seen quite a few battles. He's all scarred up, but he's still the Constantine we all know and love. And Xanadu's there, also holed up in this camp because they figured out they could kind of hide in plain sight amongst the downtrodden, which was another thing I thought was pretty cool. And all to reveal that they're hiding somebody that it's very important that Merlin not get, which I thought was a nice little wrinkle.
All right, Dr. Fate. Yeah, he's there.
But that was a nice.
I was letting someone else take over, so I'm not just rambling.
Well, you took it. You started driving the ship. I thought I'll just let you go.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Connor more than anybody because I didn't expect. As I'm reading this, I'm like, how's Pete gonna pick this apart?
I actually think this is. I mean, it may not be to Pete's taste. That's a different thing. But I do think it's very accessible to anyone who hasn't been reading Justice League Dark. I don't think there is anything particularly obtuse that are references that you need to have known beforehand.
It feels like a relaunch almost, and I feel that's.
This could have been a Justice League Dark issue 1, and you'd be fine. Yeah,
exactly. So, but no, just the interpersonal between all the characters, Zatanna and Constantine, and all that, and then you bring in Etrigan. and it feels like Etrigan's at odds with all of them. I was getting the Demon Knights vibes, but then some of the other stuff felt like Shadowpact, because then you throw in Ragman and you know the way that they're able to get his suit, because it it craves souls. Etrigan brings a soul up from hell that's almost like a Hulk, right? And it charges up the Ragman suit.
Yeah, there you go. I got souls to spare.
Right. So it felt like these other books, and it different than Tynan's, because even when Ram V took over, it very much felt like that was Tynan's Justice League Dark.
Still. Yeah, I kind of mentioned this quite a bit while you were gone. That those last few issues felt like the end of Tynan's run. Really was this stuff with Ram V's stuff, even though he was writing it, and I don't think he was using Tynan's notes. I think he just interpreted his own ending and extrapolated outwards.
Right.
But it felt like, no, they were all Tynan's plot threads that he was finishing off, and coming back after Future State will be the start of Ram V's real run, so to speak. Or maybe this is as well. This is kind of it feels like a prologue, a tease of things to come, perhaps.
Yeah.
It's hard to say for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and the art fits. I forget who the art was. Who was the art, Pete?
Oh, it was Takara, Marcio Takara.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's really, really moody. Like, we get this, again, a dystopian kind of vibe.
I really like it's also strong, thick lines.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Looks very well.
It was okay. I I'm giving it a chance. Best I can. I really am. But
honestly, it did really make me want to go back and reread Demon Knights, because it's been a while.
Yeah, it's just conceptual. There's a lot of things here that I'm not as in tune to, and I don't really like I hate reading Etrigan's dialogue. I hate it with a passion. So
you don't like rhymes.
It's not just that. It's the lettering as well. I don't like the way it's phrased. I mean, it's not just that it's rhyming. I mean, it's not so much that it's rhyming. It's the way that the turn of phrase to make sure it rhymes that more bothers me.
I do feel like this was lighter on the rhyming. Like I said, there are some that summarize where every single line will rhyme with the following line, whereas this felt like it was like a 1 and 3, for example, or a 2 and 4 like flow with how they did it. So it didn't feel like it was into the mold as strictly. Yeah. So it felt a lot easier to read compared to a lot of Etrigan stuff, at least to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't really have any particularly thing bad to say about it. It's more just a taste thing than anything else. I'm just not as invested in the ideas that the book's given me. I'm
really intrigued by who this knight is that's leading Merlin's army. It feels like it's going to be someone that we know. Setting it up, but I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it is.
We don't know what happened. Like, they just say that they became unbonded.
It's Cold Snap. It's obviously Cold Snap. Why would you even guess anyone else?
Yeah,
I would kind of love that.
Or what if it's Azrael, right? Like, just add that little wrinkle there. A man of belief in with the magic users and whatnot. Like,
that's Gary Busey.
That's scary.
I guess.
Is he still alive?
Yes, he's still alive. You can't kill a Busey. Busey's never die.
Okay, I'm just saying. I feel like I've heard tragic passing Gary Busey, then we all moved on. But if you tell me he's alive, I'm also going to believe you.
Leftovers is proof.
Yeah. Wait, what's up? What'd you say, Connor?
There's a joke in The Leftovers where Gary Busey is one of the people who is taken, so the idea being that he might be important to a divine entity.
That's terrifying.
It's a bit of a running gag. There's wasn't there an inflatable Busey?
There was. Yeah, there was in the second season. It was great.
This is not the show I thought
it was. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have very little to say enthusiastic, and it's not. It's just purely a lack of interest, and it says something that when I eventually did start talking, I immediately just wanted to start cracking jokes. So, honestly, maybe it's better for people if I don't read Justice League Dark. I'll try the first proper issue back and see how it is, but
you guys can just split Bendis's Justice League and Justice League Dark now. Like,
yeah.
Oh,
you do get Zamaniko
okay.
on art in the when it comes back.
Zamaniko's a good selling point. I will say that.
Yeah,
Zamaniko's a good selling point. But that's just something about talking about a lot of the subjects that come up, you know, with magic realms and spells and Merlin's armies. I mean, hell, even just the name of the word Merlin just made me roll my eyes a little bit and made me disinterested. I'm like, oh, Merlin, really? We're doing Merlin things.
I just want to say, as much as you know, I'm going, hey, Zamaniko's great. Takara does a great job here as well. Like that panel of Etrigan breathing to reveal, breathing the fire to reveal fate is absolutely wonderful.
Cool. And the whole stuff with the tarot cards too. I feel like the design of the tarot cards looks really, from what I've seen from tarot, you know, but just enough that it fits in with this. So like even the demon looks like Etrigan, right? When you look at the devil card, it says Etrigan vibes to it. So, but no, just it feels great. Jeez.
Very few fictional characters would make me less interested than the mention of Merlin. Maybe like Boba Fett, for example. Maybe that would do it.
Oh, don't you dare go there. Boba Fett's a saint.
I have
Robert Rodriguez as
Boba Fett just gained legions of new fans over the past few months.
People that hated Boba Fett before, they're like, Boba Fett's just a suit. Well, Robert Rodriguez is like, no, let me show you why it's awesome. And he planned it all with his sons and action figures, which, look, Robert Rodriguez,
what does Robert Rodriguez have to do with Boba Fett? Did he direct Mandalorian episodes?
He did, yeah. A Boba Fett focused one.
Well, this is all great to hear. I'm never going to watch it.
He only had 22 pages of story, and he turned it into a full episode because, you know, it's Robert Rodriguez, and that's what he does. So I just wish I liked his movies more.
Yeah, I don't know why we're praising Robert Rodriguez. I mean, Robert Rodriguez, I like some of his movies, but he is he is the definition of hit and miss.
He's done the best Boba Fett work ever. So that's enough for me.
Yeah, he also did Sin City 2, so, you know.
Yeah, talk about that.
He's kind of like one of those people like Del Toro, for example, where don't like all of his stuff, but I think he's like a really fascinating person to hear talk and really passionate.
So I don't know if you've watched it yet, Connor, but The Chef Show on Netflix. There's a whole episode at his house where he makes Jon Favreau pizza, and they just talk about filmmaking and comparing it to making food and stuff. It's fantastic.
Oh, fair.
So yeah. Which then you go back and watch The Chef Show and the people that he's talking to, and you're just like, huh. I wonder if this was all in the production planning.
Yeah.
You know.
All right.
But anyways,
I'm
Justice League Dark.
I'm sure Gandalf will show up in the next part of the story and maybe less interested. So what are you rating the Justice League Dark story, Matt?
I'm giving this an 8.5.
Connor?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the 8.5 as well.
6 from me. So full book rating, Matt.
I'm gonna give it an 8.5. I know that doesn't max out, but I really enjoyed this book.
Well, your average is theoretically at 8.25, so it's either up or down from there. I mean,
right. So I'm gonna go up because I really liked it.
All right, Connor.
I'm gonna go with a 7.5 overall. I think.
I will also go with 7.5 overall. Obviously with the Justice League Dark
for very different reasons.
Yeah, pulling it down for me, but hey, there you go.